Yo, what's up? This is Sunny. Um, it's been a couple weeks since I did a video. I haven't been doing anything because all my videos have been really repetitive. Um, but I also been taking a lot of losses, a lot of undisciplined trades. Shorting has not been going well for me. Um, I'm not really seeing any opportunities to short, but not only that, my kidneys are fucking hurt. Not only that, but um, I just been going through like a pretty serious depression where I'm like I have an issue where it's like I don't define money as who I am, but more of I come from poverty, so when I'm not performing well, it just makes me really upset because um, when you're coming from the bottom, it's like and yeah, of course, there's people who go through worse things than me, and there's countries and places that are worse than what I've experienced. But um, when you are, coming from the bottom to the standard of this country, and you're just trying to come up, you know, you risk it all just to make something. Um, and when you take an L, it really affects you because you're coming from the bottom. With trading, that's the wrong mindset. You don't want to risk it all, and you can't have that mindset of, oh, I'm coming from the bottom, so I gotta make it. You want to put that mindset into studying, but when it actually comes to trading, you just gotta be disciplined and follow the rules. Your personal life has nothing to do with it. But that's what I've been going through. I've been going through like a depression. I've been having straight red weeks for about 3 weeks, probably a whole month, and it's been really stressing me out. And shorting has not been working out for me. Um, so uh, this past weekend, I'm like I've been getting squeezed a lot. Things have just been skyrocketing on me. Maybe I should start venturing out to another strategy for now because everything's going up. And they even other the successful traders like Sykes and all these other guys even said it themselves. You know, shorting is not the best thing to do right now because these squeezes are ridiculous. These squeezes are way bigger than what it was before, and it's a long market. It's a bull market, but it's a market for longs to do their thing. It's not a market for the bull for the bears or the short sellers to really succeed in. So um, I've been seeing these patterns. I've been watching Tim Bowen's um, morning prep, and I got a better understanding of how to trade uh, uh, morning panics. I really don't fuck with morning panics. I really don't like it. Don't even understand it. Um, but watching him every morning or almost every morning gave me a better understanding. Um, and also, um, what else? Um, I spent this entire weekend just studying Bowen's, I mean, not Bowen's, Timothy Sykes' um, dip buying pattern, morning panics. I'm not really fucking with the morning like panics like after a multi-day uptrend. Um, it's really still very confusing. Like since I began trading, I always hated the morning panics. I thought it was the dumbest strategy ever, and it made no sense to me. Um, but now that I'm more experienced and got a better understanding, even though I prefer to short than go long, uh, watching it for months now to see it happen while I'm looking for a short, and you know, this weekend just studying up on morning panics and dip buying uh, prepared me for today. And it took me a few days to really get a grasp of it, a good grasp of it to properly trade it. But I still got a lot to learn. But it's not like you know, I'm not even good at it. But it's not like I learned it in a couple of days and over a weekend and was able to make money off of it. Although it's like the easiest pattern. Uh, it's more of I spent months actually seeing it happen and not trading it because that wasn't the strategy I trade. Um, and also, uh, you know, I spent months watching Tim Bowen's stuff and just to see what he was thinking. I didn't even like trade any of the stocks or look at any of the stocks that he was mentioning. It was just I'm trying to see his mindset and what he's thinking when he would talk about the 945 dip and rip. I would be like, okay, that's not my strategy. If anything, I'm waiting for the 945 dip and rip so that when it spikes crazy, I'm just gonna short right into it. And I've gotten burnt many times, but um, um, it started clicking to me that okay, yeah, I'm good at short selling, although I'm struggling with being disciplined and cutting losses and sizing. But with the 945 dip and rip on our first green day, I'm liking that, and it proved to me that it already proved to me that it could do well, but um, I just over time I just got more comfortable with it, and now I decided to try it out. So after this massive depression and shit, I finally tried out a different strategy to improve my trading, and here's my opportunity. So, I woke up early, 7 in the morning. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I woke up early, 7 in the morning, and I went jogging, did my workout. When I got to the computer, I noticed PPSI was the biggest percent gainer on the day. Um, uh, it was, and I'll try to zoom in better so I can show you guys what I was looking at. Um, so yeah. Before I even got to it, um, uh, I saw that it was the biggest percent gainer on the day. I wasn't really sure what the fuck I was gonna do. My main goal was to wait for 9:30 to uh, for the market open and wait for 9:45 and then uh, did buy it. Um, um, and then I watched the morning prep. Bowen was talking about it, how it was a low flow, blah blah blah, and that you want to wait for the 9:45 dip and rip or something like that. He said something in regards to that, and then I watched the small cap recap, which I didn't really like the small cap recap. The small cap recap reminds me of um, the boot camp that I did with Roland Wolf and got to see, or the mastermind that I did with I mean, the inner circle that I did with Sykes, and it gives you that live trade, and that in person experience. It's difficult to ask questions, but if you're knowledgeable, you get to watch him and on that video and just witness it. And I don't really need to ask questions because I'm watching him, and if I do, I just go research it. Um, um, but he was talking about it. I think his name is Matt Monaco, the one with the glasses, the white boy with the glasses. He was talking about it, and he was like, he doesn't like the way it's trending, but if it goes up, it's gonna be a good opportunity. I honestly didn't like the way it was trending too. Um, if you see here, each time it perks up, clearly looks like it's getting sold into. It's like doji candlesticks everywhere. Um, I saw that uh, pre-market, and I was like, this shit's getting sold into. Uh, Matt Monaco, I think his name is. He didn't like it. I didn't like it before he even mentioned that he didn't like it. But I did do my research, and uh, uh, they had uh, some energy. There's an energy company, from what I remember. Yeah, energy company, and they had some kind of news. I can't remember, uh, but clearly it was good news, or it was people were reacting good to it. Honestly, don't remember the news, and Yahoo Finance has been acting up when it comes to the news lately. Um, yeah, so they had some kind of earnings. So yeah, they had like an earnings report or something, or just like a conference to it, which was a good sign that it was going to go up. And then they mentioned something about um, electric vehicles, which I didn't read the article, but uh, once I saw, okay, uh, smart mobile EV charging solution. Once I see some, I can just read the title. Once I see something positive, and sometimes it's good to read the whole entire news because you can see where they're finessing and talking shit. But I still need to learn more about how they be finessing on the news. But it's just positive news. So once I saw that, I'm like, okay, positive news. I'm gonna go look at the statistics. Yeah, for Yahoo Finance is not always accurate, but I also look in the SEC filings as well, and that's not always accurate as well. So I looked here, 4 million flow. I really like that. Didn't see no implied shares outstanding, but it could also be inaccurate. And I like the outstanding was 9 mil, so that was a good sign for me. But the fact that you seen doji candlesticks, I knew they were dumping shares all along the way. And I really didn't like it, but I ain't gonna lie, lust influenced me. Plus, it was looking really good. So when I went into the SEC filings, um, I looked. You got owners and of the company and people buying large amounts of shares. Um, but from what I remember, I don't think I seen the effect in the S3. So they're preparing to register shares, which means they're preparing to sell it. Um, you got people buying large amounts of shares and having to report it, but I don't recall seeing any um, 424B or anything like that. And then when I went to the most recent uh, quarterly report, I typed in offering, didn't see nothing. But I don't know if I looked at the outstanding. I think I did, yeah. So when I went to go look at the outstanding, it was accurate or close to accurate, yeah. So I was like, okay, um, you know, I did all my research, um, news, which I'm really trying to push myself to look at the news more often. I looked at the news, the SEC filings, the flow, the outstanding, the implied shares. I looked at everything, and I'm like, okay, there's no sign that they're really dumping shares, but I know they are. I can see it in the chart. Um, but this is looking good, and I'm liking it. So um, after I watched Tim Bowen's video, I saw that I'm like, okay, this is gonna keep pushing up. But I was uncomfortable with trading it pre-market, and I didn't want to trade too big because I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. So I went in with 300 shares. This says 100, but I know it's more than that. Um, Let me see. Um, it's 300 shares. I went in and I sold here. Um, like I really wanted to sell near the high. I think I was up like 200-300 bucks. Um, I wanted to sell near the high, but I wanted to give it time. But honestly, I wanted to give it time because I wanted to make more money. But I can clearly see that, man, this shit was they were selling shares, bro, all in pre-market. Um, I bought 300, and I'm like, it might not even do much. So I just let it sit, and it just started uptrending, and next thing I was up 100 bucks, 200 bucks, and I think 300 bucks, and I didn't want to take it because honestly the lust kicked in, and I'm like, I want more. I wish I would have went bigger, and that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. But I wanted to sell here, but I was trying to be really, really patient with it and give it some time. I wanted to sell into market open or close to market open. My plan was to see if it was gonna spike market open and have my stop limit order ready to like execute um, uh, if it began to panic. Um, and yeah, that's not completely the best thing to do because stop limit orders don't always go through. But that was the strategy, and I was like, most likely it's gonna keep uptrending towards market open, and I'll just sell for a two, 300, 400, $500 gain. But that's the wrong mindset as well, um, and that's actually not what happened. Uh, it didn't go my way, but I ended up selling for like $100 gain. Um, or I actually added here. I forgot about that. I added here and then I sold for like $100 gain when it was I could have made more, but I sold for $100 gain. Um, and I'm glad there was no short shares available to short because knowing me, um, I would let it spike for a little bit and then short. So I probably would have gotten short here or here or here like a dumbass. Um, and I sometimes I agree. Well, not sometimes, but I really agree with Tim Bowen calling people a dumbass, although a lot of that is towards me because he's actually, I'm actually doing what he says to be done. So yeah, after I added, I sold here because I didn't think it was gonna go up any further. You could see clearly the doji candlesticks are getting, the stock is getting sold into, and then uh in pain. I'm sorry. Uh, then right after I sold, it started perking up some more. I'm like, damn, I could have been up the $300-400, maybe more, that I wanted, and then I chased it, got back in, um, and it pulled back on me, and I ended up taking a loss on it, and it was like overall, went from $100 and something gain to a $30 loss. Market was opening. I'm like, I'm not touching it. Um, uh, I'm gonna wait till that 945 dip and rip. And honestly, believe it or not, but throughout this entire time from here, from when the market opened to that 945, wherever it is, bro, I was anxious than a motherfucker. I'm like, bro, I want to get in now. I'm allowing my imagination to guide my trading, which is completely wrong. You cannot influence, you cannot allow your imagination to influence your trading. And I'm like, yes, I know I'm supposed to wait for the 945, but what if this just spikes without me? Blah blah blah. I'm just thinking all these crazy things, and being real impatient. And then when I saw it spike here, pull back, spike again, pull back, spike again, and then pull back, um, and consolidate here, I was like, man, I need to get in right here, bro. But I'm like, no, because it's only been a few minutes. Be patient. And then when it spiked up here and halted, I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed my chance. But I could see that it was halting. None of the orders were going through, and I was like, it's about to halt, it's about to halt, it's about to halt. And I didn't touch it, and I'm like, it's still not 9:45. I'm gonna be patient, and if I miss it, fuck it. And I was kind of beating myself up because I'm like, I've been taking consecutive losses, and if I take a gain, I fuck it up. Um, so I'm like, man, I really just want to have a successful trade. I need to build my confidence up a little bit, but also I just need a successful trade, man. I'm trying to achieve a goal, and every time I'm close to that goal, uh, I keep getting hit back down as if someone's dumping shares, or like for an analogy, every time I reach my goal or I get close to it, someone's just pounding my head like a pump and dump with dump shares, for resistance. I was facing so much resistance as if someone was pounding my head down to go back down, as if it was like a pump and dump, you know, analogy. But excuse me. Um, what happened here? Um, so after they got halted, it perked up again, and I'm like, okay, is it 9:45? Yes. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get in. So I longed it here, um, and I think I kind of chased it. I bought 1,000 shares or something like that here, and I just kept buying, adding to the low. And the whole time, Matt Monaco was like, "Yo, this shit looks like trash. I'm not liking it. It doesn't look like it's gonna go up. Um, blah blah blah." And while I'm listening to him, and I'm like trying to reason what he's saying, because he's more experienced than me and he's more successful than I am. And everything he was saying, I was agreeing with him. I don't like the way it looks, and I just kept adding. Uh, Now, I was down like $600-700, and um, I didn't want to take the loss because I'm like, okay, if I take this loss, I think I was down $1,000. I'm like, if I take this loss, I'm only $400 away from PDT, um, and I'm like, of course, I got the wrong mindset. I'm risking too much. Um, Matt Monaco said he only lost $200 on a trade, which I haven't lost. I'm so undisciplined with my trading that if I'm taking a loss, it's going to be way more than that. But um, um, it was consolidating here, doing a flat pull pattern, and was just adding, 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 and I think I was in about um, I don't even remember, honestly. By 10 o'clock, I was in 2,500 shares. And I'm like, okay, my risk, as I added, my risk changed, and it went higher. And it went from like 695 or something like that to 688. And I'm just like trying to be patient, and I'm like looking at the chart, and I'm like, okay, it broke this level, or 688 resist support. Somewhere here I was looking at it like 688 just broke 688 support or some shit like that, and I was like, okay, but the next support is here, the next support is here, and I was just going lower on the support level, and I'm like, at some point you got to cut this loss, and I'm just trying to be patient because I'm like, this looks like it wants to go up, but they're selling into into the stock, and this might never bounce. But I'm just trying to be patient, and it broke um the 680 range, then it broke the half dollar mark of 650, and at this point I'm just like, yo man, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna have to take this loss and move on. I wasn't really emotional about it. I just had to accept it, and I didn't really see this flagpole pattern here that you see. It's not going to be a perfect one, but no flagpole pattern is perfect. But I didn't really see how like it wasn't breaking the next support. I didn't really see that. But I was just being patient, and I think by then Matt Monaco was done with his video, and then it started spiking up, going up, and I went from like negative, I think 1,000 to positive something, and I was gonna cut the trade at break even, so I'm like, okay, at least I didn't lose any money. But then it just kept perking up and perking up and perking up, and I was like, shit. And I'm like, damn. I mean, I know when spikes happen, they spike a lot, but I never witnessed the amount of money you will see here change from 0 to 1,000 real quick, and then more. So it kept perking up and perking up and perking up, um, and I was like, oh my gosh! And I made $1,000 real quick, and then um, it went to 1,500, and I was like, oh shit! And I'm like frozen because I'm like, bro, do I just let it run or what? And then it got to $1,800. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Then it got to almost $2,300, and I was like, yo, you need to get out now. And I tried to enter an order, but I don't know if it didn't go through, or I missed it, or something happened, and I don't know if I froze. I don't know what happened, but I was trying to get out because it hit a high of 777, and I was trying to get out, but I'm like, I want to see. I wanted to give it more time, but I was also trying to get out, but I was too slow on getting out. Um, and then it pulled back. Um, I think it pulled back to the point I was only up $1,000, but I was like, hey, it's okay, man. It's whatever. If I come out this trade with, um, break even or a few $100s, I'm okay with it because it's like I want to give this stock as much time as I can, and I want to give this stock as much time as I can, and I rather make a large amount being patient and being disciplined, or just being patient, than to take this quick gain um, and leave a lot on the table, which is the wrong and right mindset because it's like you want to, you know, get as much as you can, not as much as you can, but you want to get a decent, you want to make money, but you can't be greedy and you can't go for home runs. And it's like a double-edged sword in trading, almost in everything. Like everything that you are doing, it's a double-edged sword. Um, so when it perked up, uh, uh, I had many chances to get out, and I just refused to get out because I'm like, I want to give it more time. I want to give it more time, and I had to come to the realization that, yo, your average is about, I think my average, I can't remember what my average was, but I knew I was almost up $1 per share. And I heard Timothy Sykes' voice in my head say you want to aim for 10 to 20, maybe 30 cent uh, in your trade. And I'm like reminding myself, you're not trading a higher price stock like in the $25 range. You're not trading a $15 stock. You're not trading a $50 stock. You're trading a penny stock that's under $10. You should be aiming for 10 to 30 cent. And I looked at it, I'm like, yo, you're up almost a dollar. You were up almost a dollar and now you're up like 60 cent or some shit like that. And I was like, bro, you need to get out. And on this candlestick, I refuse to get out. Then on this candlestick, I refuse to get out. Um, and I was trying to get out in the high 750s or close to 750. Then on this candlestick, it gave me another chance to get out. And then on this candlestick, it gave me another chance to get out. And if you notice, all these doji candlesticks, it perks up and then it has these big dumps. Each and every single one of them, you can see it was getting sold into with these doji candlesticks. And uh, I'm like seeing, I'm like, yo, you need to get out. You need to get out. And I'm talking to myself and I'm counseling myself. Yo, you need to get out, bro. Like this shit's about to drop. I know you want more, but bro, just take what you can and get out. And I'm like, no, I want my $2,300 plus. I don't want to leave with $1,500. I had 1,800. I didn't take it. I want more than that now. And the wrong mindset's kicking in, but I'm regulating it. I'm doing my best to regulate it. Um, and finally, when Timothy Sykes' voice came into my head, I'm just like, man, fuck it, I'm getting out. And I entered my order and I let it sit, and it finally executed at 744, and it was like a 1,400 and something dollar gain, and I was really happy with myself. And something told me, man, don't trade this shit for the rest of the day. But not just like this voice in my head that told me not to trade it for the rest of the day. It's clear because you don't want to be like, oh, something's speaking to me, so I'm gonna do what it tells me to trade. You don't want to think like that because that's not trading and that's not successful trading. But you can clearly see that it's been sold into this entire chart. Like every candlestick looks like a doji candlestick where it looks like it's being sold into every single one, all right here. So I was like, don't touch it for the rest of the day. Maybe until later, but don't touch it, bro. Not for right now. And I was very, very tempted in touching this stock again. I had something to do at 11 o'clock. I was late to it. I was supposed to be there by 11:45. I was supposed to leave my house at 11. I thought about the Sykes sliding scale, and I remember he said some of the Sykes sliding scales, which Sykes sliding scales, I used to think it was dumb and I'll never use it, but it's actually really useful. Um, he says like if you're going to get into trade, you need to know if you have the time for it. Are you trying to just get into a trade that okay, I have 30 minutes to trade and then I got to go to work or some shit? You don't want to trade if you're in that situation. Um, he's like he said a few other things that applied to this that I thought of that applied to this um, trade, but the main thing that was like, okay, you know this already went up, you know this is being sold into, it's not a good trade. It just you just happen to succeed on it, and then not only that, um, you don't have time. You need to shower up and leave the house very soon. So don't trade it. And I just saw it panic each way. And each time it panicked, I got less interested in it. But I was very tempted into trading it. I'm like, you don't have time to trade. And then right here, when I finally decided to get up and get in the shower, when I was supposed to get in the shower right after I sold this stock, um, uh, it panicked again, and I'm like still tempted to get in. And but I'm like, I know I shouldn't get in. and then it started consolidating. And I just at this point I left it alone. I had class two, and I wasn't watching it throughout the class, and I did not know it was doing this shit right here. And this shit spiked like crazy. I mean, from like the low of 570. I don't know if it ever broke lower day neither. No, I never broke lower day. Wherever the fuck lower day is at. Lower day was 557. It never broke lower day, which that's a perfect sign for longs to let you know, okay, this is gonna perform well, or this might go up. You know, it held support, it had support here, but pulled back, created another low, and then it started uptrending at 12 o'clock. It was for me like if it starts uptrending at 11, then that's a sign that it's going to keep going up. But if it happens to spike earlier than 11, then at like early 10 o'clock, then 11 o'clock is going to be dead or pulling back. There's a statistic on that. But if it starts spiking at 11, by 12 it's going to start panicking, and all throughout the midday lunch time is going to be panicking and going down and tanking. So all throughout this time I wasn't watching it, wasn't aware, but it fucking doubled on my ass, and I was kind of regretting like, damn, I wish I would have paid attention and got back in. Um, of course, full size because lust took over, and I should never trade full size. But it started panic. It spiked, and by the time I got out of class, man, I was like, what the fuck? This shit did a number, but I'm glad that I stayed away from it because um, as tempted as I was to trade it, I kept telling myself, if you get back in this, you're gonna take a massive loss. You're gonna give back everything and maybe more. And I'm glad I stayed away from it as it started pulling back. This pattern is also in the seven step framework, which I need to study because I don't fully understand it. But yeah, man, like this shit did its thing. But then I had another trade. Fucking jaws hurting. CBAT. Now CBAT. Uh, um, CBAT. And I want to thank God again for giving me the discipline and the wisdom and the opportunity to study the stock market and learn this shit and give me a really good mentor, Timothy Sykes, to teach me this shit because it wasn't for him. If it wasn't for God, man, I would have probably never found him. But uh, I saw this stock, and honestly, I didn't even do any research on it. I just saw that it was spiking, 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 and I knew around this time it was gonna fail. Um, and I honestly was right, but I was a little too early, and I went in heavy size because it was moving like 5 to 10 cents. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna make much dollar cent wise, but I gotta go in full. I gotta go in with a decent size so that um, uh, if I mean, my goal was to make like 10 cents. I'm like, okay, if it drops 10 cents, I'm gonna make a couple $100. So I went in really big. As you can see here, start off with 2,900 shares. Went in again with another 2,900. Went in again with another 29 and another 29. Um, Another 29 totaling to 8,700 shares. Wrong, 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 everything. Wrong mindset, wrong everything. I got in here. First, I shorted, and then um, I was like, okay, I traded off of impulse, wasn't even thinking properly. Um, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna try to go for a 10 cent um, gain. I saw that it wasn't breaking past this point, and it most likely wasn't gonna break past this point as well. Um, and I got in, and I'm like, okay, let's see what it's gonna do. Um, and I was just giving it time to run, and then I thought about it. I'm like, I did this again. I'm like, damn, I did it again. I traded off an impulse, and I didn't even do my research. Then I went back and I did my research, and I saw the reason why it was up is because it was a it was a earnings report, third quarter 20. It had something to do with earnings. I mean, when I see third quarter, I'm thinking earnings. And I'm like, fuck, I shorted an earnings stock. Earnings just keep going up. You shouldn't be even trading earnings, but earnings just keep going up and keep going up. I'm like, fuck. And then I went and looked at the statistics, uh, and this was a really undisciplined trade. It was 53 million, which is a pretty high, but because the stock price is pretty low. It's actually pretty low. Um, and it was like 88 million outstanding, no implied shares outstanding. Um, then I went to the SEC filings. I looked it up and I saw 424B. I didn't look at it. I didn't even open it. But I'm like, no matter what, um, no matter what, this is a bad trade. I also looked at the yearly chart. Um, saw that it would spike, dump, spike, dump, spike, dump. So I was thinking maybe this is gonna dump. Plus, it has all these resistance here. Um, and I forgot to show you the chart, a PPS yearly chart, a PPSI. Um, yeah, so it was the same thing, but I didn't realize that this shit broke the yearly high, or it broke it after. But at the time, it didn't break the yearly high. Nor was I planning on shorting it. Uh, but back to CBAT. I saw the yearly chart, saw that okay, it had resistance. It was a recent runner, and it dumped, so it has resistance. Um, so when I got to it, I was like, "Fuck! I shorted the wrong stock. It's in earnings. I should never short in earnings. It's just gonna keep running up on me. And even if it doesn't, I don't want to fuck with running earnings. Um, I don't want to short anything that has to do with earnings. That's just my rule, and I think that's a really good rule, and I think a lot of successful traders follow that. So by the time I was done looking at this, I clicked my screen and saw I was down $300. I was like, fuck. And lust honestly took over. Greed took over, and I was like, yo, I don't want to end the day with a loss on one trade and a successful trade on another. And that was the wrong mindset. I was like, okay, I'm down 300. I got out the trade. I'm down 300. I'm like, I don't want to see $1,500, and now I'm down 300. I'm at 1,200. I don't want to end the day with a $1,200 gain, and that's the really wrong mindset. I'm still battling it. I don't think this is ever gonna go away. But I gotta keep regulating my emotions. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't want to take this loss, and I was like, I gotta make this work. And I'm like, this stock is only gonna move a few cents. It looks like it wants to keep going up. Um, so I chased it, and I went in back with the same amount of shares that I had here. I went in with here 2,900 shares. Uh, it wasn't perking up anymore. So just a few cents under, I'm like, I'm gonna add it right here because I did the calculations in my head. I'm like, okay, from when I longed it or shorted it here and covered here, it was a 10-cent difference. So when I shorted it here, when I longed it here, it started pulling back. I said, okay, if I add here, um, I would only need to make like a good 5 cents, and I'll be break even. And then if it goes up in a few more cents, I'll get out for a gain. And then it wasn't doing that, and then I added again, and I just went full size, uh, 8,700 shares, and like that was the wrong mindset as well. And I watched my entire gain plus some just dwindle away, and it just faded and faded little by little. I honestly didn't think it would go this far, but it went to 288, and um, I was really gonna get out um, because I was using some kind of support, yeah, support here at 288, and it wasn't really an accurate support, but I was using it, and I'm like, fuck, man, like what, like damn, I just gave back everything, and I told myself not to trade. And I'm looking at the chart. I'm like, where's the actual support that could tell me what the stock's gonna do? So when it hit 288, I was like, okay, just broke the support. I'm fucked. And I'm just the whole time I'm just like, man, I'm gonna give this a bit more time and just see what it can do. Then I'm looking here and I'm like, okay, the next support is 283 because it spikes here and then it spikes again here. You can see a lot of people bought here and here because the volume, this long candlestick plus the volume here. So I'm like, okay, this must be the support area, and it's more of an accurate support area because people are still like probably in from here. And I'm like, damn, I'm down $2,000, and I can't believe this, man. I just gave back everything and more. And I'm just patiently waiting. I'm in class, honestly, which, like I said, if you go back to Timothy uh, Sykes sliding scale, which I need to study that again. He talks about trading when you're not in the time frame to trade. And I made a trade when I'm like fucking literally focused in class. And like I said in my other videos, um, um, uh, I cannot trade while I'm in class because the lesson, the math that I'm doing like advanced or like more advanced algebra, I get it all, but if I don't pay attention, I'm gonna miss a lot, and I can't afford to not pay attention. Uh, so trading and learning math that I never learned before, factoring polynomials and shit. It's real simple, but I gotta pay attention to learn it. The time frame was bad, but I decided to get in this trade, and my professor was like, I have two professors, and one of them was like, "Have you done the problem yet?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually very busy right now. I'm in a trade, and I'm trying to make some money." And he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and we felt the both the same way. Like, nigga, what are you here for? Are you here to go to school, or are you here to trade? And I'm like, feeling the same way about myself, and I'm feeling like a dumbass, but it's just what I was doing. Like, you know, it was just a dumb move, but honestly, I did it, bro. And it started fading, fading, fading. I was down 2 grand right here, and the students behind me are paying attention to what I'm doing. Um, like I'm one of the biggest guys there, and I draw a lot of attention to myself. So I'm like, man, I'm in a trade, and I'm refusing to pay attention in class. I should have been kicked out of class, but the whole time I'm like going back to what I was experiencing as this stock is trading and is going down against me. I'm going through the same emotions and experiences that I went through when when I was taking weeks of losses and undisciplined trades, and um I went through my depression, or not the depression, but I needed mental help because like I was mentally drained. Um, and I came to the conclusion that honestly, losses really stress me out, and gains are the only thing that makes me feel better. And yes, your gains motivate you, but your losses should motivate you as well too, and can motivate you. But for me, these big losses that I've been taking have been really putting me down, and I realized like I'm a winner, and I want to win, and when I lose, it really affects me, and I'm just stressed the fuck out as just trading, and I'm like, bro, I feel like giving up. I don't want to trade anymore, man. I'm so done with this fucking trading shit, and I'm so frustrated. I'm like, yo, I really need a break, and I really need to like improve on myself because I take a loss, I cry like a little bitch, and I think it's because I need a break or I need to improve on my mindset. But I just gave it time, honestly, and I was like about to cut it because it cracked down to 283, which was the support that I was risking off of right here, and I'm about to cut it, and I'm like just stressed, closing my eyes, rubbing my eyes, and just like shaking my head, and I'm like, man, I'm just gonna have to cut. And I'm like, man, where do I cut? And I'm like, are you gonna hit it at 280 or what? And I gave it a little time, and it just started perking up. Um, Midday, the midday dip, and it started perking up little by little, and then next thing you know, it went from eight 283 to almost $3, and I'm like, okay, is this the fucking trend change or something? And I'm like, is it gonna break three? Is it gonna break three? And it pulled back a little bit. I'm just like, I'm just gonna give it time, and that motivated me to do my assignment while I was in this trade, which is a good and bad thing, mostly bad. But then it started spiking and squeezing, and it broke past three and into eights, and by the time it went into the eights, I was break even, and I was ready to cut it right here and just take my break even trade and walk away with my $1,400 gain. But then I'm like, yo, this shit looks like it's gonna keep going. I don't know how far, but I'm gonna challenge it, bro, because it just looks like it's gonna keep going. And I'm like thinking to myself, and I'm hearing Tim Gritani's voice say, "Wait for two spikes and then get out." And that's what I saw here. And we go back to the 1 minute chart. Um, and I'm like, bro, I'm already break even. It spiked. I'm like up, I don't know how much, but I'm like $700. I'm ready to get out, and I'm like, let's give it some more time, give it another spike, and it went like sideways price action, and it spiked again, and I'm like, I'm out, and I entered my order at 25 or something like that, 325, got out for a $1,500 gain, and was real happy, and I got up, walked out of class, and I was like, yo, and I said it out loud. I just made $3,000 just now for the day, and all the students was like, "Oh shit," blah blah blah, and I didn't mean to say it, but I meant to say it, and things went downhill from there because everybody was just judging me and shit and just like targeting me after that. But um, um, I had to walk out of class and take a breather because I'm like, I'm so glad I made $3,000 in a day today because and on this new strategy that I'm trying, Even though I'm trying a new strategy, I should be trading small on this new strategy, and I'm actually doing the opposite. Um, but I don't really know it, but I got an idea, but I don't know. I feel like I've haven't had enough experience to do that, but I still shouldn't be doing it anyway. But it kept perking and going to a higher high. I wasn't really beating myself up about the continual spike. I left a lot of money on the table, and I'm okay with it. Um, and I'm really okay with it because today's really been a stressful day, um, all around. But it's also been a profitable day. Uh, but I'm just glad that I got out with a $3,000 gain, $3,010 gain, because I've been having like a complete losing week for the past 3 weeks, um, or just gains and losses. I'll gain and lose, and either break even on the week or take a loss on the week. And the first day of this week, I already took a big gain on a new strategy, and I'm $500 away from paying off my loan from trading for trading, and my goals and dreams are starting to come true. But more importantly, there's so much shit I need to improve on when it comes to trading. Um, there's so much shit I need to improve on. But not only that, it's like I just want to I just want to help people make a difference. I want to not just donate money to there's a charity called Something with Water that helps countries who people who don't have water get water. I don't want to just donate to them. I want to be able to travel there, help them out, get the water, actually make a difference. I want to make a difference in my mom's life. She said her dream was to go to Africa and see all the beautiful animals. That's my goal for her, to give her like the first class experience to Africa. I want to travel to Italy, Rome, and all these Japan and all these crazy countries. I want to go back to my neighborhood and you know show them what it feels like to be successful and that they can make it. There's so many things I want to do, um, and I got to remind myself this is not about me. This is about the difference I can make in other people's life, and it's not the money. Um, so it's like I gotta be disciplined. I gotta be smart because people are depending on me. But not only that, I can really make a difference in this world. So that inspires me to be more disciplined. Discipline, excuse me. And I'm sorry, I'm really exhausted making this video, but it inspired me to be more disciplined. I know that I'm doing a new strategy that I know I'm sizing in too big on a new strategy, but I honestly must say that yes, I am wrong. I do have an idea of how the strategy work. I've seen it many times. I just never traded it, and even for my first time trading it, I should go small. But I saw the first green day, I liked it, and I went in. Um, but yeah, thank you, Timothy Sykes, but more importantly, thank you, God.